Friday evening, and I figured I'd kind of take you along. Hopefully, the view is all right. I'll try to get in there. Probably need the camera to be back a little further, but you'll get a closer view this way of what I'm working on. As you can see, this is kind of it's a cross section of a burl. I've got two sections. I've got one that's like it, but the teardrop isn't as long, and I'm just going to make little end tables out of them. It's coming out really pretty. I'm outside, just outside the shop, because this is really dusty. But this, I just covered this with mineral spirits, just cleaning it up so that I can see, I can kind of see anything that needs imperfections, need to be sanded more. Like right here needs to be sanded a little bit more. The thing with this cherry is it'll be a little light along the edges because it's freshly sanded. So the trick is when you're going to sand the cherry and all this and that, and you want to like do a seal coat and stain it, don't do it right away because this is all going to darken up. If you can put it somewhere where sunlight can hit it in your shop, I recommend 2 or 3 days after you sand it on each side to let the color come out, even out, because you've taken off pieces over here. You've taken off a little more material along the edges, or this particular case I did. And I just kind of show you how I go through it. I did run it through the, I ran it through the mill just to make sure it was good and flat. But all I use to start off with, to kind of initially get it down past this rough stage, is I use one of these DeWalt. It's a sander. I can't hook a vacuum cleaner to it, but I'm outside, right outside the porch here, doing this. So I'm just going to kind of start sanding right here to kind of show you how I got to the other side. And I'll start off with a 60 grit, then I'll go up to 80, then I'll go up to 120, and then about 180 with this, because I can get all the swirls out. And then I'll get the palm sander, and I'll also go over it with the belt sander a little bit like that, just to get any spots that this may dig in, get it kind of flat, because eventually I'm going to fill this in with an epoxy. So it's pretty quick though. You can do a lot of stuff with this daggone DeWalt, like grinders. This is like buffing a car or something like that. And you know, if anybody's ever buffed a car, you know, if you hold it on an edge or something like this, it'll burn it. So it's not like the a real soft touch. At first it's a little aggressive because I'm getting rid of this, and then as I go down in they go higher in the grits, it's just a little bit lighter. You don't push as much, and you work it out like buffing a car. So I wanted to show you how fast the work you could get done using this thing. You can go pretty quick. You saw how long it took me to do that. It wasn't very long. And you can see how fast you can get it down pretty smooth. There's some low spots and high spots. When I really epoxy over it, the self-leveling epoxy, it'll all be nice and smooth. We'll get all these little lines out and stuff like that out of it. But it goes pretty quick. But you can kind of see how fast this thing has been a lifesaver. I'll tell you, using a palm sander and a belt sander, man, took so much more time. And this little grinder, now obviously if you dig in there, you're going to leave a lot of swirl marks. But fortunately for me, when I was a young man, one of the things I did to make side hustle money was I used to detail cars and stuff for a dealership. And they loved it. And I'd buff them up and start with different grits and different pastes and stuff and get them slick as can be. So I learned how to use a buffer and do a good job without leaving a lot of swirls, or at least working my way from a heavier grit up to a really fine grit where it was just shiny as can be. So yeah, that's helping me out here later in life. But you can see you can work this down pretty darn quick. This little section right here. Let me blow that off and I'll show you just how fast you can do this. Now obviously you got quite a bit more sanding to do. I'm out in my night-night pajamas. Not like going out in the shop in your jammies and doing a little bit of work. See, I've got little spots there with some of the lines, but look, I mean, that just takes it down so fast. It makes such nice work out of it. Like I say, I'm starting with 60. I work my way all the way up to 120 using this machine. Each time I'll clean it with mineral spirits just to lift the grain, and it will show me any imperfections that need to be sanded. So let's finish this up real quick right here. See, there's a little teeny bit of lines right there. And just come back over it nice and easy. A little bit over here. Like I say, I'll get that as I go through with different grits. But man, this sander, I say there's an adapter that goes here for a vacuum. So if I'm inside, I'm outside, so no big deal. But let's blow it off and wipe it down with mineral spirits. And I mean, it took me probably, what, 10, 15 minutes to sand that like that. So that sander grinder has been one heck of a blessing. Because I can't fit stuff like this through the planer. And anyways, with all the different grains and stuff, putting it through a planer, it would catch and chip and stuff like that, being it's a burl, kind of like a cookie. But, let's throw some mineral spirits on it, see how it looks. Like the other side, give you a quick show and tell on using that grinder. And then my wife just pulled up, got home, so it's time for me to go inside and say hi. She's been working a lot of late nights, and I don't get to see her most of the time. So, but I say I wipe it down with mineral spirits in between each one, and it'll show the lines. See, it'll raise the grain, but it'll show all the lines and stuff that need to be sanded. Get all the dust off. So I like to do the initial like this. And I took all the bark and kind of rounded the sides off. I like to do this. I did the other side, now I've done this side. And I like to put this up, stand it up somewhere where the sun can get to it. Because see all this right here where it's lighter in color, because I just sanded it, all that will get darker. Not as dark as the heart, but it'll all, the richness of the cherry will come out. And I'll put it for like a day on this side, a day on the other, because I'm taking a whole lot off originally. So you want to get it clean. It's a thick piece of material. There goes my rag. And then let it dry some more, because you've taken a bunch off of it. So you want to let it kind of dry in the shop. Let the sun get to it. It'll rich up in color. And then go ahead and do your next sanding, which my next sanding on this will be the 120 grit. And I'll work on getting, you know, stuff like this out. You can't see it right now, and I can't really see it much, but using that heavy grit will leave little swirls in it. So as you go with the other grit, you just go lighter, and you keep that thing moving, and it's like buffing a car, and you'll get all those little lines out of it. And I get all the way up to 180, and then I'll take the palm sander, and I'll go over it with the palm sander and round the edges and get it really smooth. And then when I go to do to make it into a table and do the epoxy, This is going to actually be the bottom of the table. The rounded, more tapered is going to be the top. So the bottom of this will get 2 coats of Danish oil, and that'll seal it. And I will put no epoxy on the bottom because the wood has to breathe. So once I do that, then I will put the epoxy on this side, which is probably a little dirty now. The epoxy will go on this side. See how the sides are tapered? I want that to be the top. But so this will be the top. So I'll do the self-level and epoxy, real thin coat, and that'll just bring out all these colors. I am going to glue this check up here a little bit more, but this is down to like 7%, so it's fine. I say I want to let it sit out because you can see how light it is on the sides. All that will darken up in a couple days, and trust me, it's well worth it, because once you put the clear and epoxy, if you let this darken up a little bit, man, it is super nice because this is dark cherry. Like I said, I just pulled the bark off, so it's lighter in color, but like I say, all that's going to darken up. And then before I put the epoxy on it, not only do I Danish oil this, I Danish oil all this, because Danish oil is like a primer, so it's not going to seal in the wood with it and then put an epoxy over it. It's going to be fine. It'll help it. But that Danish oil is going to bring this color out. Like, I got some, I'll have to show some pictures of a few dark cherry ones I did. This will turn so rich red, and all these little burl figures will just pop. And when you get an epoxy on it, it's going to almost look like 3D. All these are going to look like 3D figures and grain inside that epoxy. And like I say, this will be a table probably about this high, around 30, 32 inches. And it can be a wall table behind your couch, whatever. And like I said, I've got a shorter one. It's probably like this. It was on top of this. It's not as long. And I'm going to make that like an end table. So it'll be nice. It'll be super nice. So anyways, good Friday evening to you. Sorry you to get to see me. You get to see the you get to see me doing the work. It's just I need to back the camera up further away. But when I'm outside like that, I want you to see the work. It's more important to see the work than my face. So I'll bring you back live when I get ready to do, after I get all this thing sanded and we're getting ready to put the finish, like the Danish oil on it. I'll bring you back and we'll do a recap on it. We'll do like a final sanding, clean it, and we'll do the 2 coats of Danish oil. And we'll do that together probably next Friday. I think next Friday would be a good date to do it, if the weather's good, to get this thing final sanded and Danish oil. Because, you know, you want to let it say, you want to let it dry, because I'm pulling material off of it, and I skimmed it with the mill. So, you know, the wood, even though it's a percentage as far as you can stick your needle in there, it can still be a little bit more wet inside. So every time I take a bunch off, I do a preliminary sanding, set it aside, and give it, just take your time, because this is a beautiful piece. It will be a beautiful piece. It's worth taking the time to do it right, and it's going to make somebody a really, really nice piece for their house. I have one there now, and I have 2 other ones that are similar to this, and people tell me they're absolutely beautiful and they love them. So, and then other people who have seen them at other people's houses and found out I did it contacted me or saw me and said, "Man, we love your work. And it was a beautiful table you made. It's at my friend's house." So I appreciate that too. But good things are worth taking the time to do them right. So that's what we're going to do. And I'll tell you, I'm going to have to start making a few of these things for my house, for our big dream house we want to be building here in the next couple of years. Or we're hoping. I need to make a bunch of this stuff for myself. They're not going to make it for everybody else, and I have any left for my house. So anyways, good Friday evening to you. Take care. Let's see, we're out of here.